Yo, Jay, how you feel about this one?
What's up, guys? Super cool Fraser here, and I want to talk about something that a lot of people my age, or at least people around 18 to 25, practically young people, are dealing with, but nobody with power seems to want to admit it's actually a problem. Being Gen Z and unemployed, and watching the cost of existing go up while the number of real opportunities go down. And before anyone says it, no, this is not a Gen Z is lazy video. It is a something is clearly broken and we are pretending it's normal video. Because if you're a Gen Z right now, unemployment or barely surviving seems way more common than success. And that matters. The problem is we were sold. Most of us grew up being told there was a formula. A very simple one. Go to school, get good grades, graduate, get a job, move out, and start your life. That was the deal. But it appears to be that the formula is getting a little bit changed up. And the thing is, a lot of us mostly followed it. We showed up, did the homework, somewhat got the degrees, or don't have any. We took on the debt, and we were told this is a safe path. Somehow we still ended up here. Qualified, motivated, willing to work, locked out. The reality of the job search. Applying for jobs now feels like unpaid labor. You don't just apply anymore. You perform. You tweak your resume for every posting. You write cover letters that sound enthusiastic but not desperate. Confident but not arrogant. Human but somehow optimized for software. You upload your resume and the site asks you to type the entire thing out again. And after all that, silence. No rejection email, no follow-up, no feedback, just nothing. And that nothing slowly messes with your head. Because you start asking yourself, did I do something wrong? Am I missing something? Is everyone secretly getting hired except me? Entry level doesn't mean entry level anymore. Then there are entry level jobs, which apparently now means 3 to 5 years of experience, a degree, multiple certifications, several software tools that you've mastered, and the ability to do the work of 3 people for barely livable pay. And I have to ask, how exactly was I supposed to get 5 years of experience when 5 years ago I was asked to use the bathroom during high school class? That math ain't mathing. And yet we're all expected to pretend it does. The job market isn't just competitive, it's broken. Here's the part people don't like admitting. A lot of companies are posting jobs they don't actually plan to fill. Some listings are just there to make it look like a company is growing. Some exist just to collect resumes. Some are just reposted over and over with no intention of hiring anyone. And on top of all that, many applications never even reach a human being. They're filtered by algorithms, by automated screening systems, by AI tools that decide based on keywords whether you're worth a second look. So when you're rejected, so more often than not, ignored, it's not always because you weren't good enough. Sometimes you weren't even seen. You weren't even rejected. You were filtered out, like you don't even matter. Zoom out. This isn't just you. And here's what's most important to zoom out. Because this isn't just a personal failure story. It's not a individual motivational problem. There are millions of Gen Z right now that are unemployed or underemployed. A huge number of young adults aren't in work, education, or training at all. Not because they don't want to be, but because there aren't enough real ramps into stable jobs. Young employment is significantly higher than the overall employment rate. Not slightly, significantly. And this isn't just happening in one country. Across the world, young people are struggling to enter job markets that are tighter, more automated, and less forgiving than the ones previous generations walked into. The system changed. The expectations haven't. Just get a job doesn't hit like it used to. People love saying, even your parents keep saying, just get a job. And if jobs are just sitting there waiting, as if applying isn't already a full-time grind of itself, as if rejection or silence doesn't pile up mentally, and even when you do get a job, everything is still unaffordable. Rent is out of control. Groceries cost way more than they did a couple of years ago. Gas, insurance, phone bills, it all stacks up instantly. They tell us the budget better like rent isn't half a paycheck. I promise you, the Starbucks isn't the reason we can't afford to live, and neither is paying for the next Marvel movie. The emotional cost that no one talks about. One of the worst parts of being unemployed isn't just the money, it's the shame. Feeling behind, leaving with your parents longer than you planned, watching friends move forward while you feel stuck, turning down plans because you don't have the money, avoiding conversations because you don't want to explain your situation again, smiling and saying, yeah, I'm still applying, like it doesn't hurt every time. It messes with your confidence, and after long enough, it messes with your sense of worth. You start tying your value as a person to your employment status, and that's dangerous. And let me be clear about this. Unemployment isn't a reflection of your value. It is not proof that you're lazy. It is not proof that you failed, nor is it proof that you didn't try hard enough. It's just burnout. And burnout from chasing a moving target that keeps dodging its shot. A burnout that from doing everything right and still falling short. Burnout from a system that demands more and still gives less. And what about AI in the future? A lot point to AI and say that's the problem. And you are right. It is changing the job market for the worse. But even then, it's not the full story. It didn't invent the fake job postings or the low wages or the companies refusing to train entry-level workers. What it just did was accelerate those problems. It just made filtering easier, hiring more impersonal, and raise the bar even higher for people who are trying to get started in the first place. So when people say you just need to adapt, what they really mean is you need to work yourself to death in a system that doesn't exactly have room for beginners that it didn't have in the first place. Here's the quiet truth that no one wants to say out loud. An entire generation is hitting adulthood at the same time in a job market that does not have enough stable, well-paid entry points for all of us. That's not a moral failure. That's not moral failure. That's a structural one. And pretending otherwise just adds guilt on top of struggle. Where do we go from here? Now, this isn't really a doom and gloom video. There are shifts happening. Some companies are starting to put more focus on skills than they are degrees. Some paths outside the traditional college to corporate pipeline are gaining respect again. More people are openly questioning whether the old formula ever worked. But the change is slow. And in the meantime, people are still hurting. So if you're Gen Z and unemployed, hear this clearly. You're not broken. You are navigating a system that does not work the way it has to or should. And you're not alone in it. In closing, if this video feels uncomfortably accurate, then this shit is not a coincidence. Drop your experience in the comments. How long have you been applying? What's the worst job you had? What's the worst job listing you've seen? You could post it all in the comment section. And I'm Super Cold Frieza. And until next time, peace.